Throughout the 1930s, over 9,000 banks failed. Bank deposits were uninsured, and thus, as banks failed, people simply lost their savings. Surviving banks, unsure of the economy situation and concerned for their own survival, stopped being as willing to create new loans. This exacerbated the situation, lessening expenditures. Over 9,000 people lost their savings, and with the stock market crash and the fears of further economic woes, individuals from all classes stopped purchasing items. This then led to a reduction in the number of items produced, and thus a reduction in the workforce. As people lost their jobs, they were unable to keep up with paying for items they had bought. Through installment plans and their items were repossessed, more and more inventory began to accumulate. This unemployment rate rose above 25%, which meant, of course, even less spending to help elevate the economic situation. 85,000 businesses went bankrupt, and business began failing. The government created the Smooth Hawley Tariff in 1930 to help protect American companies. This charged a high tax for imports, thereby leading to less trade between America and foreign countries, along with some economic retaliation. 400,000 farms were repossessed by the bank, causing people to migrate into Hoovervilles. One visible effect on the Depression was the ascent of Hoovervilles. Hooverville was a popular name for a town of cardboard boxes built by homeless people. The term was coined by Charles Michelson, publicly chief of the Democrat National Committee, who referred Sargent to President Herbert Hoover, whose policies were at the time blamed for the Depression. Residents lived in shacks and begged for food, went to soup kitchens. Authorities did not officially recognize these Hoovervilles and occasionally removed the occupants for technical repairing on private lands. But they were frequently tolerated out of necessity. Democrats popularized related terms such as Hoover blanket, old newspaper used as blankets, and Hoover flag, an empty pocket turned inside out. Hoover leather was cardboard used to line a shoe with the sole worn through. The Hoover wagon was an automobile drawn by a horse. The owner could not afford gasoline. One type of amusement in the 1930s was listening to jazz music. Radio brought African American music to a whole new audience. Musicians like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington were adored across the country. With times as hard as these, people turned to the movies to cheer them up. Comedians like the Marx Brothers and Charlie Chaplin were really popular during this time. Prostitution was on the rise as desperate women sought ways to pay the bill. Healthcare in general was not a priority for many Americans, as visiting the doctor was reserved for only the direst circumstances. Alcoholism increased with Americans seeking outlets for escape, compounded by the repeal of Prohibition in 1933. The Great Depression brought a rapid rise in the crime rate as many unemployed workers resorted to petty theft to put food on the table. Suicide rates rose, as did reported cases of malnutrition. A giant dust storm hits the South, causing to drought all the crops. While not a direct cause of the Great Depression, the drought that occurred in the Mississippi Valley in 1930 was of such proportions that many could not even pay their taxes or other debts and had to sell their farms for no profit to themselves. The area was nicknamed the Dust Bowl, and the Great Depression had begun.